Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I'm gonna be honest, this episode was okay. Wasn't terrible, but wasn't super great. I could have totally did without the whole Abby and Chad scene, because the only thing that really happened was Chad talked about his day at Damaro's. Him and EJ going at it, EJ being a dick. He still made the sale, he still closed the deal. But, and that's the thing, it's one of those things, like, it would have been better to actually see it than him just sitting there talking about a typical day at, the office. And that's pretty much all it was. He talked about Kristen, and then that was pretty much about it, more or less. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to actually see them being back together as a couple. Especially since their relationship was decimated. So to see them actually get back to this place is a good thing to see. But other than that, it was pretty boring. So I'm sitting there trying to think about the best way I can sit there and recap this. And I feel like one doesn't go without the other, but they kind of both intersects. And that is Xander, Gwen, and Rex, Kate, and Roman. So pretty much from, at the bubble, whatever, at the, Roman's bar, all Rex, Kate, and Roman do is play catch-up. But they do talk about Sarah. And, after Kate is upset, what Sarah did as far as pretty much kicking her son to the curb after pretty much using him, they're both just like, they're thinking, they're like, everyone thinks that Sarah's with you. So, like, what's going on with that? But what's interesting, sorta, is that Gwen, because Gwen, here's the thing, Gwen and Xander, well, Gwen was happy that Xander got back, and, was just happy that he didn't get, like, arrested. Also felt like, it's unfair that every time something bad happens, they automatically go to him. But hell, even Xander was like, yeah, I don't exactly have the best rep in this town, so them accusing me of something, it's not really out the ordinary. So they both decide they want to, like go out or whatever, go out to dinner. And I don't exactly remember who, I think it was Gwen that was like, alright, let's go to the bubble, whatever. Because they were going to go to Julie's bar, but they was like, nah, whatever. So they decide they're going to go to Roman's bar. So Xander sends Gwen ahead so that way they can get like a table. Gwen gets to, Gwen is about to, she opens the door and sees Rex there. And so she's like, oh, yeah, we definitely can't go here. And starts to walk back, sees Xander, and Xander's like, alright, so we ready to go in there and do this thing? And Gwen's like, you know what, I don't really like anyone in there. Let's go somewhere else. I'm just sitting there thinking, Gwen, this guy just showed up to town. Do you honestly think that you're going to constantly be able to keep Xander away from Gwen? Because, I'm going to get a good laugh, but, like, well, you honestly think that you're just going to make sure that you can avoid Rex running into Xander or vice versa? Like, you can't be that stupid. Never mind. So, Gabby and Jake are still trying to pitch, Victor on the idea of both being co-CEOs. And they bring up Gabby Chic. But, Victor's like, alright, you know what? I still think you two are idiots. And if Gabby Chic is all you really have, then y'all can just practically kick rocks. He doesn't seem like he's really that interested in Gabby Chic, even though he knows that Gabby Chic is probably the most profitable source in Titan. But the negotiation isn't really going well. And Jake offers, Victor Damara Enterprises. And Victor's like, one, I don't see how it's possible, and two, didn't you get fired from that place? So, like, what are you talking about? How you gonna offer me something that you don't have? Now, Jake and Gabby talks about, the fact that there's a lot of infighting, um, within the company, and a lot of people do not like EJ, which is true. So between that, the fact that it could be a little unstable, pretty much Jake and Gabby's like, listen, let us worry about how we're going to get you a seat. Because at this point, it's going to be a seat on the board. It's like, let us worry about, the details or whatever. But if we're able to do this, then we can become CEOs. And, Victor's like, all right, listen, just keep me posted and see what happens. So when they leave, Victor already knows, like, he came out on top. He's like, they offer me Gabby Chic. And at the end of this deal, not only am I going to get Gabby Chic, but there's a possibility that I can get a board, get a seat on the the seat on the Maros, like Enterprises. He's like, he's coming out on top either way. So, and it's interesting, and it's weird. It's weird. I felt like I did this exact review before. It's weird. But I'm not surprised that he really came out on top of this deal. I mean, he's been doing these type of deals for years. So to him, it was just like another typical day at the office except for not being at work. Now, the last thing I'm going to sit there and talk about is Sean and Chloe. So Sean pretty much kind of talks to her / interrogates her a little bit just to try to find out some information. And long story short, I don't think she willingly did that, but she pretty much kind of implicated Brady and Philip's disappearance. Talks about the infighting that they've been having, about her, showed him the phone, and when he looked at the phone, he saw a bunch of threatening text messages towards Philip. The bloody knife, the fact that most likely, because it's O positive, she's like, it could most likely be Philip's. A lot of this stuff is pointing towards Brady doing something to Philip. And I'm sitting there just looking at this whole thing. Now, I was reading in the comment section before. That Philip is not there trying to frame Brady for his murder. And I'm just like, alright, well, what is your end game? Because let's say you actually do that. Let's say you actually frame him. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, I guess he could just sit there and he has enough money, he can just go away somewhere. But I'm like, that's your plan? Your plan is just to, go away and then, never come back? I feel like that, I mean, granted, because I'm not going to lie, I did this review before. At first, I was like, I just couldn't understand his endgame. Like, what are you going to do? Pop up 6 months later and be like, alright, surprise, I'm alive and I got you, Brady. But he can technically just leave and go anywhere around the world and just, kind of leave Brady holding the bag. And that's what Sean says towards the end, when he's like, at this point, it may go from a missing persons case to a homicide. I think that's about it. Like I said, this episode wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. I could have definitely did without the Chad and Abby scene. I feel, it's one of those things where it's like with Gwen, Xander, and Rex. I feel like they're building it towards something, which is great. But today's episode didn't really, it's going somewhere, but nothing happened up until that point. And I mean, just if they're looking at Gwen's, point of view, Gwen, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna sit there and just try to find a way to make sure that those two don't interact with each other, so that way what? Xander can sit there and find out that Rex isn't really with Sarah? I mean, seriously, he been sitting there telling her throughout this episode, yo, listen, it doesn't matter what happened with Sarah, like, you're my future, like, you're the one. All that reassurance isn't really going anywhere because she's still being insecure. And also, she's lying to Xander, which is going to be her downfall anyway. I'm just wondering what they're going to do with the Sarah character. Like, are they going to recast? What are you going to do? Because I said this in my GH review, I don't like loose ends. And between Sarah and Hope, and probably something else that I'm pretty sure I'm missing, at least with Sammy, they seem like they're actually gonna like do something with that. But anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. I think that's pretty much about it. If I forgot anything, please write it down in the comment section below. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.